The iconic style behind Madonna's Confessions on a Dance Floor. If there's one word we can discuss what fashion was like in the early to the mid 2000s, that would be the 2000s had everyone wearing less to impress. It's not like that style never went away. Everyone was wearing the tightest and the most scandalous piece of fashion they could parade themselves in. High-waisted straight jeans? Hell nah. Low-rise jeans and thong for the win. And while you're at it, the midriffs are totally in. Underpants? Nah, skip those. Go commando.
And so I've come to New York, and the first thing I hear is about everyone not wearing their underpants. What's going on? It's freezing outside.
Take it from the rebellious era of Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera in the early 2000s. Madonna, on the other hand, rebelled by dyeing back to her natural brunette color and channeled Che Guevara for her American Life album and as part of the album's branding. And America hated her for it. And I emphasize America and not the entire world because some of you don't believe that her branding during American Life didn't tarnish her reputation.
No, your last three albums probably didn't do as well as you would have wished. What sort of pressure?
My last three albums? That's not true. Just my last album. Music did good, and Ray of Light did amazing.
But that's a story for another time. Anyways, it's 2005 and Madonna reveals her next album titled Confessions on a Dance Floor.
The status of the new record, it's going to be out in the fall, I understand?
Yeah, that's the idea, hopefully. Yeah, it's called Confessions on a Dance Floor.
A non-stop tour de force album with no breaks or stops. Released late of 2005, the album was met with universal to critical acclaim, noting it to be her comeback album after American Life. Now, if she donned an all-natural rebellious look in camouflage colors for American Life, this time she channeled a vintage glam look of the 70s and 80s. At 47 years of age, she stood out from the crowd of tan and bitches. I will argue though, during this time, the mid-2000s, it was her and Beyonce that made bodysuits and ballet leotards look cool and be used as regular wear for fashion. Confessions was known not just for its music, but for Madonna coming up with her best look that not only serves as good branding during this era, but also complements her lifestyle as a working mom that negates all the bad press she got from American Life and as an aging artist. My name is Sergio, and today or tonight, we'll be discussing selected pieces that she wore that define this era. This is the iconic style from Madonna's Confessions on a Dance Floor. The Dolce & Gabbana chiffon blouse. For this album cover, Madonna wore a chiffon silk peasant blouse by D&G circa 2005. It was straight from the D&G Fall 2005 ready-to-wear fashion show that happened in February of that year. It was used as a uniform top worn by all models at the end of the show. This uniform concept was reused a year later for the men's collection when all male models wore a Madonna top for the final walk. Madonna wore three colors of the blouse during this era: pink, purple, and peach and orange. I believe they were originally going for a rainbow gradient for this album cover before deciding on the pink and purple color scheme. The chiffon blouse can easily be a contrast to the boat neck puff sleeve loose blouses of the 70s. The puff sleeve blouse was such a trend in the 70s, DC Supergirl even sported this style with bishop sleeves until her Let's Get Physical look in 1983. But the closest comparison to this whole ensemble was Olivia Newton-John in the 1980 cult classic Xanadu, seen here roller skating in a ruffled boat neck blouse and ruffled skirt. This D&G chiffon blouse is paired with a vintage pink ballet leotard by Danskin. This one I have is also by Danskin. Although new, it is true to the original design from the 70s. The ballet leotard would be one of the staple pieces from this era that further represent its visual source and Madonna's dance roots. Now I want to spend just a couple of minutes to discuss the inspiration behind this look and the overall set design for the shoot, as it roots deep into Madonna's past. Madonna is a huge fan of the 1975 Broadway classic A Chorus Line, and if you know A Chorus Line and Madonna, you would pick up a lot of these references from her work even after the Confessions era. I spoke about this reference in my TikTok back in 2024. Remember when Madonna did a callback of the 70s and 80s from her Hung Up music video? It's been widely known that she has referenced Saturday Night Fever and Perfect in the music video, but she's mostly channeling the character Cassie from the Broadway hit A Chorus Line.
Well, this whole video has been inspired by Saturday Night Fever. All that jazz, Bob Fosse, chorus line.
Based on the original storyboards, Madonna was supposed to have the same outfit as Cassie with the ballet wrap around her waist as seen from the BTS clips for Sorry. They ended up having her wear a pink wrap and purple sequin sash belt to match with the album's aesthetic. Cassie in the musical actually shares the same core motive as Madonna as they both decide to go back into their dance roots. Madonna shares this principle with Confessions on a Dance Floor, especially after the sales disaster of her American Life album.
I wanted to go back to the dance floor and the disco, and because that's how I started. I just want to have fun. I want to dance.
In contrast to this, Cassie in the musical, who's long in the tooth, decides to return into the chorus after struggling to make it big as an actress in Hollywood. Sounds familiar?
That's what I kept telling myself in California. Well, nothing will happen. I can't act.
What?
I can't act.
The big song and dance solo by Cassie titled Music in the Mirror is referenced in the overall backdrop with the addition of the boombox as Madonna enters the studio and places it in front of the mirror. And now for the cover shoot. If you're wondering what this yoga-ish pose resembles to, it resembles that of a swan. Most specifically, the ballet classic The Dying Swan, which is a 4-minute ballet solo that later inspired the second act of Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. And yes, that's Swan Lake. In Music in the Mirror, there is actually a segment called Swan Lake in which Cassie starts to slow dance and bend like a swan. This isn't the only time Madonna does her visual rendition of a ballet classic. Living for Love's red-hot aesthetic is actually based on Maurice Béjart's rendition of Bolero, from the red circular platform to some of its signature choreography. Madonna's association with a chorus line is actually deeper than any of the lunges that she does in the music video.
Hi, Madonna. I'm from Detroit.
Back in 1984, she auditioned for the movie version under her full name Madonna Ciccone and was rejected by director Richard Attenborough. During the audition, she met the movie's choreographer Jeffrey Hornaday, who's also known for choreographing Flashdance. She later hired him to be her tour director for the Who's That Girl tour and helped shape a few performances with dancer and choreographer Shabba-Doo. You can probably tell some of the similarities from Hornaday's choreography in movies to her dance moves on tour. He later became the choreographer for the 1990 Disney adult film Dick Tracy and briefly dated Madonna just after her marriage to Sean Penn and before Dick Tracy himself Warren Beatty. Okay, let's talk about the blouse because I already babbled too much about her iconic look and pose. Now, I may be responsible for the rarity of these blouses. I'm just going to frame them here as I own 4 of them. There's 3 on display here. And proud of it for not paying more than $60 for each of these blouses. I didn't own the Fuchsia version until late 2023. Prior to that, I only have 2 baby pink blouses and the peach one. The first blouse I acquired was the baby pink version through eBay back in 2009. I actually asked the seller back then if they knew this was the same blouse that Madonna wore for the album cover. And they didn't know, but she recalled that her songs were playing at the Dolce & Gabbana store in Rome where she got the blouse from in 2005. So I had to carefully dye them to match the Fuchsia version. The peach one turned red while the other 2 turned to vibrant coral. I ended up using the coral blouse for the shoot back in August and September of 2022 as it contrasted it well post-edit. Interesting fact about this blouse is that the retail version of the blouse didn't have the garter on the waist similar to Madonna's. I consulted a professional seamstress to get this done. The thin garter needed to match the neckline and sleeves and stitched with fine needling. Hers was definitely customized, similar to what I did here now. Chiffon silk blouses are very delicate since I did water dye this on my own and hand washed it after. It became less opaque as seen here, as fabric expands when wet and loses some of its built-in protein fibers. Hence why silk fabric in general loses some of its sheen when washed with water, which I believe worked in my favor in the end as it closely matches to the album cover's aesthetic. The silk chiffon pirate or peasant blouse style would later resurface in the Confessions tour when Jean-Paul Gaultier does his version of the blouse with the exact kind of fabric in orange. To match this blouse and leotard, her stylist, Oscar winner Ariana Phillips, paired it with these iconic glitter pumps from London-based luxury footwear brand Gina. This is the Gina Salsa pumps in purple star color. Madonna wore the metallic pewter pink version of these shoes for all promo, photo, and video shoots and interviews.
I don't know, would you like to try and get back on the horse? That's what you got to do, you know, when you get tough.
But I'm wearing high heels.
Well, so am I. All right, we'll see what happens. We'll be right back.
While she wore the purple star color pumps for the Confessions tour. Originally retailed between 250 to 350 euros at launch, I got these for $45 sometime around 2010 on eBay. They were apparently floor model shoes with 2 different sizes. The right shoe is actually 7.5 and the left one is 7 in UK sizes, hence why I got them for a cheap price. Wearing these for the first time was actually a pain, mainly because of the keeper loops behind the ankles where the straps go around. The glitter on these loops scratches your ankle, so I had to scale the loops with sandpaper to smoothen the area. Like its name, they resembled ballroom salsa dance pumps just without the soft soles. So it's a perfect pairing to Madonna's disco aesthetic. One of the best things about Madonna at this time was her commitment to channeling the chic and vintage style that was economical to say the least, considering they didn't really have a huge budget to work around with prior to launching this album, which coincidentally worked in their favor for creating such a vibrant brand over Madonna's new look. And when I say economical, she wore some of these pieces repeatedly.
Even an assistant down on the floor adding more sparkles to her shoes.
This shoe in particular was heavily worn prior to her photo sessions with Klein for the album cover. Thanks to Madonna Outfits for pointing this out, she actually wore these pumps in one of the scenes in her 2003 music video Hollywood, which coincidentally didn't make it to the final cut, but you can see it from the remix music video. After almost 2 decades, these shoes still sparkle. The glitters do fall here and there since they were originally glued and sealed. They are comfortable to wear since round pumps usually have flat soles that allow your toes to move freely. Gina is one of the few luxury brands that I know of that still provides silk dust bags for your shoes, which I think is pretty cool and quite rare nowadays. While we're in the subject of shoes, let's talk about what she wore for the music video. Madonna wore a pair of maroonish satin pumps by Patrick Cox. The designer Patrick Cox himself was surprised when he found out that his shoes made it to Madonna's music video. I remember his comment in Madonna Outfits post back in 2021. He recalled his experience on how Madonna's team, or Ariana Phillips, bought the shoes from his collection opposed to asking designers to send over sample pieces to consider. The post is no longer available, so I could be remembering this wrong, but I thought it was a pretty interesting insight on how her team worked prior to making the music video, as there were a lot of vintage and retail pieces used opposed to having custom-made ones by designers. It all works well to the overall 70s aesthetic, especially with the use of vintage pieces.
My name's Ariane Phillips. I'm Madonna's stylist, and I've been working with her for the past 8 years. She's wearing like a ballet-esque dancer costume, and it's a leotard with a wrap kind of ballet top, but done in kind of slightly nicer fabric. So we did that, and we've got this old school, what we call a leotard. This is vintage, real thing, baby, from the 70s, and we're rocking a dance belt, sequin dance belt, also vintage from back in the day. We're kind of homaging different dance styles.
Now, what I have here is not the exact same model that Madonna used, but a different variation of the same shoe and part of the same line that season. The shoe is very soft and reminiscent to Miu Miu's satin ballroom pumps that she wore during the reinvention tour that allowed her to dance freely in heels. I have the purple version of that shoe, which I used for the story shoot. These Dorsey pumps are a staple design from Miu Miu in the early 2000s. The silk version made its debut on the runway in 2003 as part of the fall-winter collection. Madonna couldn't get enough of these pumps after the reinvention tour. A crystal-studded version of it was custom-made for her to dance in during the opening act of the 2006 Grammy Awards. The structure of these strap heels or pumps were later used to craft a leather version of it to be used for her Confessions tour during the disco segment. YSL or Yves Saint Laurent's Rive Gauche lace boots by Tom Ford. From Yves Saint Laurent's 2001 fall and winter line, Madonna favored these boots for a good 3 to 4 years since she first wore them during the Mean Machine premiere in London on December 18, 2001, then later for her October 2002 Vanity Fair shoot. She continued to wear the thigh-high version of these boots till the end of the reinvention tour. She then started wearing the knee-high version of the boots for the entire Confessions era in several customized colors: purple, white or silver, and rust and red. Her stylist Ariana Phillips wasn't kidding when she stated that these boots were comfortable.
So we have these boots that are Madonna's favorite boots that seem to have cropped up on every important photo shoot in the last few years because they're so darn comfortable.
I can't get rid of these f***ers.
The thick, straight heel provides great support and balance without adding too much pressure to the ball of your foot, making it easy to dance in. You can't flex your foot forward though, but not a big deal. For the equestrian act in the Confessions tour, she wore the boots with custom-made half chaps inspired by the brand Ariat's signature design. I just got mine from Amazon here. I can't recall when I got these boots, probably 2016. But I was lucky enough to find them. It didn't come with a box and it was moderately used, so I got them for less than $300 versus the original retail price, which I believe was around $2,500 when it was first introduced in the early 2000s. I bet she still can't get enough of these babies, so we could probably expect her to wear this for her upcoming new album. The Madonna Lilly Corset by Period Corsets. From shoes to corsets, this is the Lilly Corset in lavender by Period Corsets. I'm going to read this quote by Hilary Speck, the production coordinator at Period Corsets, on how Madonna's team approached her company and how they made this stunning corset for her to wear in the video. Again, thank you for Madonna Outfits for citing this article. Early in January, one of Madonna's assistants called looking for a corset. She only said that it was for Madonna and did not say when or it would be used. The assistant wasn't sure what she wanted. We looked through the products on our website and she decided on the Lilly corset in white satin, which they later ended up dyeing in fabulous shade of purple. They requested we customize our Lilly corset. Madonna preferred the opening in the front to be a specific length. Late in January, she called to say that Madonna had worn our Lilly corset in her Sorry music video and that Madonna wanted to wear a similar one for the Grammys. I asked how Madonna picked our Lilly for the video, and they said that Madonna liked ours best out of the couture selection she had to choose from. An icon of global fashion, especially in the realm of corsetry. To commemorate this project, Period Corsets have designed a similar corset to be included in their permanent line of corsets, the Madonna Lilly. Hence now I own this version of the corset. Back in 2020, I was able to connect with Period Corsets. Their amazing office manager, Sarah, walked me through the process of getting the corset customized by size and the option to get the same color as Madonna's. On their site, this particular corset is named Madonna Lilly, which is a shorter version of the original Lilly corset. It can be bought in default colors, black or white, and a custom color. The lilac color had to be either custom dyed similar to how they crafted Madonna's or flatlined. The service was on hold during COVID and became available late 2022, in which my order finally came during the summer of that year. The corset itself has strong structure with its boning. The form doesn't change or bend when worn. The interior is smooth and comfortable to pair with any fabric to wear underneath. The busk, however, have been slightly updated from Madonna's original corset. The top and bottom busk in the front are closer in the middle, which makes it easier to detach when removing the corset as it gives your thumbs a lot more space to press inwards to unlock. For Madonna's corset though, the busks were more separate and closer to the tips. I only wore this twice, once in 2022 and then 2024. So I'd like to thank Period Corsets again for making this beautiful corset for me and now making it available for everyone. If there is interest, the link is available in my description.
Okay, well, thank you.
Now it's time to talk about this iconic Gucci bomber jacket that took over the mid-2000s thanks to Madonna. First, I'm sure this was not a Tom Ford design and was Frida Giannini's as Ford left in 2004. Madonna sported this iconic purple bomber jacket at the 2005 MTV EMAs, pairing it with a purple leotard and custom purple Yves Saint Laurent lace-up boots. The jacket was a staple to her looks as she wore different colors during the promo tour. So you bet after this, every other celebrity wore the same jacket, from Mariah Carey to Cristiano Ronaldo. I remember every clothing store started selling leather bomber jackets between 2005 to 2006, and it was clear that Madonna made a huge statement in the fashion industry in the mid-2000s. The red Gucci jacket was actually my very first luxury purchase back in 2008. I wore it a couple of times and had my sister wear it because it suited her best, and then sold it because it was far too small for me. I later got the blue version, wore that frequently, and then sold it. A decade after, I finally got this purple version and only wore it during shoots. The jacket is extremely light. The leather is thin, yet strong. The ribbing in the collar, sleeves, and waist are thinly knitted with good form and structure. With that said, this jacket does not protect you from the cold. On top of this, the ribbing can easily be stretched and worn out if worn frequently. The jacket was so popular it became a staple piece from Gucci and continued to produce it up until the early 2010s, I believe. They kept releasing new colors and versions of it every year. The new version of the jacket had thicker ribbings and harder leather material that made it more accessible during fall. I lucked out finding this jacket from Vestiaire for $500, which is basically a steal. Due to time and wear, the ribbing, which is this, and the one around your waist, is worn out and loose. I had to tighten the waist area with safety pins just so it fits me perfectly. So there's the safety pin there. The jacket was such a staple during this era, its final design or reiteration of it was a custom red rust color she wore for the Bedouin section of the Confessions tour, and later through the final act of the tour. Though not designed by Gucci, this glamorous red and purple sequin bomber jacket is custom made by Delhi designer Ashish Gupta, whose work was recognized by Madonna when her stylist Ariana Phillips called in to send a few pieces when they were shooting for her Sorry music video. The two-piece reconstructed bomber I got from Amazon and Value Village and combined them together. Collar and the jacket are separate. Apart from the Gucci bombers and the purple sequin bomber, Madonna also wore a crop black python jacket with feathers during the glam punk section of the tour, channeling the rebellious look and side of 70s icon Lou Reed and David Bowie. While the high feather collar from the jacket was inspired by Helen Mirren's character from the 1989 film The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. Shoe Uemura's Diamante lashes.
Diamonds on the end of her eyelashes. I do. Well, they're not really diamonds. One day I'll be able to afford diamond eyelashes.
While promoting Confessions, Madonna wore these Diamante mink false lashes adorned with real diamonds and custom made by international cosmetic giant Shoe Uemura. From what I recall, an unused pair was put into auction and sold back in 2010 for $8,000 to $10,000.
I mean, some people have Ferraris. I have 24 karat gold eyelash curlers.
The mink and diamond eyelashes.
Thankfully, Shoe Uemura had a retail version of these lashes that used crystals instead of diamonds to make it more affordable. There were two versions of lashes that I was able to purchase before they were discontinued. The silver band version that was similar to Madonna's and the black Diamante version. I've used both versions on shoots and it sparkles beautifully when the light hits. I personally prefer the black version as it looks more natural from afar and blends well with your eyeliner. Clear crystal version is just like a band, so it just doesn't shine like Madonna's. It still sparkles with the right light though. Madonna's diamond band just hits differently. Hers is definitely better in quality, but I can't afford diamonds, so the retail version will do the job for me. As we continue with the accessories used for this era, let's go with the sunglasses. The Lara Bohinc collection. I have here all the Lara Bohinc sunglasses. The Rachel, the Sailor, and the Lula were all used by her and her dancers during this era. And there's another pair called the Cooper that was part of this collection that was never worn by her or her dancers. Slovenian designer Lara Bohinc had a brief time as a luxury designer in the 2000s to which celebrities were seen wearing her line of accessories and jewelry. I believe she was working for Cartier earlier that allowed her to network into the luxury market. I could be wrong here, but her brand right now is fully committed to interior and furniture design, but still holds true to the style and design of her former line of jewelry and accessories 20 years ago. This is actually my third pair of Rachel sunglasses, and these ones I bought straight from eBay with the labels scratched off. I replaced the labels with Swarovski crystals to give it some bling. My first two Rachel sunglasses I bought from her website back in 2009, and I was lucky enough to actually get their season booklets. Luxury brands back then used to send you these mini booklets as an incentive for buying with them directly. Some of them were even personalized, like this Louis Vuitton back in 2009 when I used to buy luxury brands directly from their shops. The personalized memo was really cool and it made me feel really special. Back then, they were reasonably priced and somewhat affordable with better quality, and now that is questionable. With some of these luxury brands don't even do personalized booklets anymore. The Riedell sunglasses have this bluish tint to its lenses but turns to pink or purple depending on the light that beams through it. Despite how big these frames are, they don't really touch my cheeks. I guess it also depends on the structure of your cheekbones too. Out of this collection, I personally love the Cooper most, the one they didn't use for the tour because it's the most neutral looking. The Riedell does feel and look neutral as well, mainly because of the copper tone frames. It's not as crazy looking as the classic Cazal glasses that were popular in the 70s and 80s. Those were extravagant for its gold-plated frames and crazy accents around its lenses. If there were a pair of glasses that resembled Cazal, they would be the Sailor sunglasses. You can't miss the details from the Sailor sunglasses because of its gold-plated frames. I believe Madonna wore these ones in Japan and the GAY Club during the promo tour, and then Dancer Cloud wore it mostly after for the rest of the promo tour. This one here is the Lula, and I believe Madonna never wore these. Only her dancers sported the Lula. This though is probably the most dated looking one as it screams 2000s all over it. The Riedell, the Sailor, or even the Cooper, I can see people still wear these to this day. Okay, so I have one special item here that's going to reveal a lot about myself. Madonna's music video for Sorry captures the spirit of the 70s roller disco scene, having the Queen of Pop sport a pair of roller skates and have her do her own stunts and tricks besides moving forwards and backwards. In here, she's seen wearing Riedell's Espre skate shoes with century plates and roller bone wheels in purple. What I have here are the exact shoes and plates, but for the wheels, I opted for LED luminous wheels in orange. Riedell is an American brand that specializes in producing affordable ice skates when it first opened in the 40s. It later expanded its market by producing roller skates. Now, without being too technical here and bore you with skating details, these are premium skates. And most people who invest in these boots are top artistic roller skaters. As someone who's been figure skating for years now and able to do both inline roller skates and ice skates, I will say they took a risk having Madonna learn to skate in these, knowing that she has never skated in her life before. And I say this because most beginners would be assigned with softer boots to work with. This is not a soft boot. The more elite the shoe is, the harder they are. The same goes with figure skates. These are hard ones. These are premium actually. Athletes use these rigid and hard boots to skate with to maintain balance and composure when gliding through the surface. If you're a beginner, you're given softer boots to work with as you make your way into knowing how to glide and balance while strengthening your legs, core, and ankles before you're given an upgrade on boots until you reach the top ones. The Espres are top of the Riedell artistic skate line. On top of this, these are heavy skates. I don't roller skate as much as I used to because of its weight. You can customize your skates to go lighter, but it still won't compare to the lightness you get out of ice skates. To compare, this is what ice skates are, the rigged boot and then the blade, and that's it. And then you have inlines, which also has a lot of construction going on here because you have the boot, you have the frames, the toe stop, and then wheels. And then the same thing goes with the roller skates. This is a lot more heavier because on top of the boot, you get these plates, and there are different kinds of plates here. This is the exact same plate that they actually use for Madonna. The toe stop, and then 4 massive chunky wheels. This, you can do a workout with this. You can already tell this is like a machine. The boots used by all professional skaters are rigged hard and have proper ankle support. That way you can go faster and maintain stability when you're doing turns, spins, and jumps. Madonna learned how to skate thanks to Fred Talaxin. Talaxin? I may be pronouncing that wrong. Sorry, Fred.
Hey, I'm Fred Talaxin. I'm the skating choreographer for the roller disco scene from the Sorry video for Madonna.
A renowned skate choreographer who trained her for weeks before the shoot. And when the day came to display her skills on camera, she did not disappoint. He also trained her dancers weeks prior to the shoot for Sorry and continued to do so for the Confessions tour. I will say this though, most people on average will learn how to skate for months to a year until they get comfortable with it. Madonna's physical discipline as a dancer helped her through the process when learning how to skate. And that's mainly because of the principle behind dancing and skating is relatively the same when it comes down to knowing your core balance, technique, rhythm, and movement. Having a 7-year dance background for myself helped me through the process of skating when I ventured into figure skating. It took me less than 2 weeks to understand the principle behind skating backwards and forwards and how it all relies on how you shift your weight between your heels to the ball of your foot whilst maintaining core balance the whole time. So it's no surprise that Madonna was able to learn how to skate in just weeks considering her background in dance. Also, as a side note, when they were doing this scene or choreography, it was slightly cheated. Because you can adjust your wheels to stop rolling. All you have to do is tighten the nut here. I don't have the tools, but once you tighten that up, this will be immobilized. That, or she was able to master working with the toe stop during choreography. Either way, this was extremely impressive, especially for a 47-year-old artist. And at long last, and certainly not least, I saved this one last because it's my favorite and how hard it is to get one now without costing you an arm and a leg. The Versace Ruffle wrap dress. For a brief moment during this era, Madonna wore the iconic pink Versace ruffle wrap dress. She was first seen in this dress a year prior at the 2004 Grammys and then for one of the cover shoot sessions with Stephen Klein. The tone from the raw photographs may have inspired the overall decision to change the rest of the images from Klein's collection to the pink and purple combo gradient for the album and eventually became the color motif for the entire era. Between the occasions she wore the dress, I definitely prefer the Confessions look over the Grammys. Mainly because I don't think the Jimmy Choo boots work with the dress. She did look hot and amazing though with straight hair. The dress is very revealing. Guy Ritchie's rock and roll expression says it all that night at the Grammys. It looks like he just won the lottery. This dress retails for over $4,000 at the time it was released, and you bet you're paying close to that amount or at least over $2,000 from the listings I'm seeing if you're planning to buy this online. I lucked out getting this for $200. It's listed as a defect because of a tiny hole that's barely noticeable in an area that's covered once the dress is wrapped around your body. Overall, that's how luxuries work to get you to pay between $2,000 and $4,000 for a dress that doesn't seem to have that much fabric in it. I mean, if you actually put this in a hanger, it's just basically a line of fabric. Now, I'm not an expert in luxury, but I'm pretty sure you can get a dupe with the same style and quality for less or close to the price I paid for this. We don't often see Madonna wear hot pink, but when she does, she shines with its vibrancy. Although it is one of my favorite purchases, it is too dated. I feel like this is something the Kardashians would actually wear. It has the 2000s vibe in it. Madonna made it more neat.
Neat? Anybody who says my show is neat has to go.
Let me rephrase that. She made it work as an opulent cocktail dress with a disco vibe for pairing it with the Danskin ballet leotard, Capezio fishnet stockings, and the Gina salsa pumps. You don't see her wear a lot of dresses during this era, but when she did, it was mostly during interviews, a night in the club, during her promo tour, and award shows, and she stuck with the album's theme. She dressed up in cocktail dresses with disco decadence. I like to think of Madonna as a new character or persona whenever a new era of her emerges. A character that's separate from every other iteration of her from one album to the next. Confessions was no different when it came to giving Madonna new life in the world of music. The style and look she channeled during Confessions was a reminder on how we used to celebrate life with color, how we danced with such opulence, freedom, and spirit. It was a reminder that disco, once upon a time, ruled the world through fashion and music.